wage so that pay is fairly distributed, and in work benefits as well for those who cannot work full-time. Delegates, a message of hope for millions of hard-pressed people, like many of our members in Usdaw, struggling to get by. A message of hope for the economy and a message to rally our party and our people. Make no mistake, delegates, yes, we want a government with economic competence, but we want one that shares the values of fairness. Please support the composite.
Thank you. Next. I'm Leigh, first-time delegate for that well-known Labour stronghold, Tonbridge and Malling CLP. Conference, I want to talk to you today about a jobs emergency that's facing young people in this country. People in their teens and 20s whose mistake was nothing more than to be born at the wrong time. Conference, the scale of this emergency is staggering. The number of young people on the dole for more than 12 months has trebled this year. Meanwhile, applications for higher education have fallen 15% on the back of massive tuition fees. This means that the number of young people not in any form of employment, education or training has risen to above 1 million in England alone. It's not good enough, Conference. Our young people deserve better. As Vice Chair of the Young Fabians, I've led a process of consultation with young people over the past 6 months on the theme of intergenerational justice. What we have found is deeply concerning. There is a growing feeling among young people that this generation has been sold down the river, that social costs and benefits have been distributed unfairly between generations, and that young people today are being forced to pay. Despite the jobs emergency, this Tory-led government is not only doing nothing to help create jobs, they're actively making things worse. For example, I heard recently that a review of train fares in the Department for Transport is likely to recommend the closing of all ticket offices in stations nationwide to be replaced by machines. In the middle of this crisis, when decent jobs are hard enough to come by, this government cares so little about real people, so much about shaving off a pound here, a pound there. They're planning to replace thousands of decent jobs with machines. A machine doesn't have a family to feed. A machine gets no pride from a decent day's work. A machine can't help you out when the machine breaks. The coalition clearly doesn't get it. So young people urgently need this party to start speaking up on their behalf. We need to be the party that prioritises job creation above all else. We need to start thinking radically and creatively about policies that reward organisations for the number of new staff they take on. An industrial policy that preferences labour-intensive sectors which still need skilled people to do the work. A skills policy that incentivises employers to take on and invest in young people. After all, the ability to access the labour market is central to what we in this conference hall believe in, isn't it? It's what has always set us apart from the Conservatives. It goes to the core of our DNA as a party. The belief that having a job and paying tax binds someone to society, that providing for yourself or your family is what gives you pride and a sense of self-worth, and that ensuring the availability of work for all is the sacred duty of any government. We cannot allow this generation to become a lost cause. Conference, it's time to put Labour back at the heart of what the Labour Party stands for. Thank you very much.
One, yeah, two, three. And if you then sit down, if speakers are very quick, I want to try and get as many in as I can.
Yeah, Chair Conference, Dave Ward, Communication Workers Union, to support Composite 2. Conference, we rightly associate government austerity measures as an attack on services, on benefits and on vulnerable people in society. But it's time that Labour began to recognise that there is a direct link and a growing link between austerity and marketisation. There's no better example of what could happen to the NHS the welfare state and our schools if marketisation continues than what has happened, unfortunately, to Royal Mail as a direct result of disastrous policies to liberalise UK postal services. And I want to explain to you today what has happened. CWU knows that Royal Mail faces huge challenges. We're not facing away from change. We accept that to survive and prosper, the company and the workforce will need to embrace and adapt to a rapidly changing world of communications. But conference, mark my words, there is no future for Royal Mail. There is no future for a universal daily delivery service in the UK if competition is allowed to grow unchecked. We welcomed Ed Ball's statement at the TUC recently when he said that Labour recognised that privatisation of Royal Mail would not work. But the problem is this. Since that policy was introduced, the work our members do has already been privatised. Royal Mail has lost 50% of its upstream work to competitors, and now it faces growing competition at the delivery end. There is no way that Royal Mail can survive with competitors being able to cherry-pick our delivery work. The coalition are leaving... Sorry.
Can you wind up?
Will do. Conference, the coalition government are living a lie about competition. 20,000 new jobs, they say. It's 20,000 less...